The speech I'm refuting is professional child care enhances a child's learning ability and well-being. And my opponent's main secondary points were that fundamentals of child learning can be hindered if not gained early in development of a child, and that a babysitter only watches a child if they don't, and that they do not enrich development. So I do not believe this is true. Personally, I am a parent, and I never took my children to any daycare, and they have done very well by staying at home and being taken care of by family members, and or paying for someone to come and babysit them at the home. So his first claim, he specified that first-time parents not knowing different ages to teach words, animals, hand signals, or other critical learning elements. I beg to differ. When I was a first-time parent, I did my research. I saw doctors would tell me what stages they're supposed to be in, what level they were, and how advanced my kids were for the ages that they were. So, yeah, there's that. And plus, there's many sources for us online. And the family and friends, whoever would have to babysit my kid, I would be sure. And then I know other parents who would also go ahead and, like, if I'm teaching ABCs, they would go ahead and practice their letters, their numbers, everything of that nature. And it does not necessarily imply that because a kid is at home, does not have the social skills necessary. That is up to the parents and not necessarily up to the daycare center to implement learning how to say please and thank you and how to interact with other children. Yes, so again, family members and friends, they are capable of teaching a child how to interact with other kids, taking them to parks to meet with other children, or even bringing their own children along to help with the interaction. My opponent's second claim was that babysitters only watches a child that they do not enrich the development, such as children figure things out instead of teaching cognitive exercises. So a thing that was brought up is that a child shouldn't figure things out on their own and should instead be told how to do things. And I actually found two child development professionals, Adam, Emily, and Rebecca Carrickland, from sharing in the Wonder Science with Infants and Toddlers. They said that it's best to try not to solve the problems for the child, that a little bit of frustration can actually lead to learning, because if you're having a child telling them exactly how to solve something, like even if it's blocks and putting them in the right square, it's not helping their brain development. By them figuring it out, they're actually able to learn how to be patient, how to patience, shades, and colors, and then just learning how to do things on their own, which is what parents would want their kid to do. Learn how to do things on their own instead of having to depend on someone telling them what it is that they need to do, and that's better for their well-being. And oh wait, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Very well, I thought you started off pretty well identifying the claim and the secondary points, except I think that there was a point that either got underdeveloped or ignored, and it sounded like you were confused at the end too when you got to that particular point. So I'm not exactly sure if there were 2 or 3 supporting points, and it never gets clarified either at the beginning or at the end, so that's a little bit confusing. I did think that you kind of argued effectively from your own perspective and used firsthand experience and built a little bit of credibility for your argument by talking about your own children's experience. One of the things, though, that we don't get much contrast on is what was the evidence that the advocate used to support their particular position. So I know what your evidence is. You've got your firsthand experience that you're talking about. You use incidents when other people have been babysitting, that sort of thing, practicing their letters and numbers. You make an argument about the social skills. Well, that's just the right of the parents. They need to do that sort of thing. But are they doing that sort of thing? And I didn't really hear any reference to the information that the advocate's presenting, so I don't know whether I've got 2 sets of assertions going against one another, or you've got your personal experience versus the advocate's personal experience. I think that's a little bit problematic. I think you need to have something that's a little bit more substantive on that particular point. I liked the general tone that you're taking at it, but I do think that there's got to be some other information that you can use to support your position. On the second point, I think that you did have one piece of data from an authority that suggests that it's necessary to let the kids learn on their own. I thought that worked. The idea that you need to, child care means that you're having to show the kids how to do everything. I don't know if that was the advocate's evidence and argument that was being presented, or if that was your interpretation of what they were saying. Also, the quote that you had, I think there's a paraphrase or at least a longer interpretation of what's being said at the end of the quote. I don't know how much of it is a direct quote. That's a little bit awkward on that particular point. And then, like we said at the end, it's not quite sure if you are finished or not. You seem like you have something else to say, but then decide that you're not going to say it. So that was a little confusing. All right, thank you.